4. The What If. Friday. Dr. Nicholson. I found myself in a dimly lit room. However, I could make out the details of a bed, a table, and a lamp. There was a window on the opposite wall. It was slightly opened. A warm breeze was blowing inward, moving the white cotton curtains along with it. There was an abundance of artwork on the walls, all on canvas. At the far end of the room there was an easel. Even in this dim light, I could make out a clutter of papers and art books. A jar with sticks of what could only be brushes filling it to the top. There was movement on the bed. A figure lied there. I hadn't noticed it before. The darkness could offer few details, but I could see long hair and feminine features. A young girl. And yet, why did I feel drawn to her, as if she were my own child? She stirred, this time calling out. "Daddy." She was having a bad dream. I could easily see that, by the way she tossed her head sideways. I took a seat. Something in me immediately took over, and a different person came forward. I didn't know I had this other side. There, my love. Daddy is here." Those words were comforting even to me. I reached a hand out and laid it on her head. She felt warm to the touch. She was a delicate flower, her skin soft like the petals of a rose. She stopped and immediately sat up, blinking her eyes open in the darkness. I expected a scream to pierce her mouth at the sight of a stranger at the side of her bed, but there was an almost calm silence. "Daddy?" "Yes," I answered. The words had stirred something inside me, something I had secretly longed for. To have my own child. It had been something I had not shared with anyone. Only one person had ever known. She reached over to turn the light of the lamp on. I expected her to recoil once she caught sight of this stranger that wasn't her father, sitting alongside her bed. However, when the light came on, and its warm and radiant glow lit every inch and corner of the room, it was I who almost fell back. Her face was as clear as day. She wasn't the one I had expected to see. Her dark eyes glowed in the yellow light of the lamp. It washed over the side of her brown skin. The words that meant to leave my lips didn't. Instead, I took in everything about her, expecting a different reaction as she set her eyes on me. Claudia Belle's face was staring right at me. Her eyes blinked with sheer admiration and a special kind of devotion, as well as a love I had not seen in them before. Speechless, I stared at her lovely, rich brown eyes in confusion. "Daddy?" The words I wanted to say stopped dead in my throat. She collapsed in my arms. I was taken back and couldn't react until she said, "I had a bad dream." I pressed her close to me and took her in, feeling her warmth and rewarding affections. There. It was merely a dream, darling. Would you like to tell me about it?" She hesitated. I could sense it. I expected her to react, to see me for the fiend I was. She pulled away, and I again saw her. A sense of disbelief fell upon me. I stroked the side of her cheek. She was real. Her face had once meant distractions to my hunter, no more than a pest. She was nothing of those things now. She was a child, a kindness, a warmth I longed for in my life. There was a man, and he wanted to take me away from you. He pretended to be my father, but I knew he wasn't. I knew better, Daddy. I knew I could only have one father." She reached for me, wrapped her arms around me, and I felt the warmth of her breath on my neck. "You are my father, sir." How? I wanted to ask. But this reward, her words, her touch, was far more, and I didn't want it to end. "He kept calling me by a different name, and that's not me. I'm your daughter." I pulled her away. She smiled up at me. "I'm your daughter," she said again. I bit my lip as her fingers reached and tenderly stroked my face. "Yes, you are, my love," I said, pulling her into an embrace again. The sound of her words reminded me of the vow in my heart and what I was missing. "What name did he speak? What was this man's name, darling?" I dared to ask. Claudia pulled away. "What did he do?" I asked. "He was evil. He wanted to do evil experiments. He called it a new dawn. Genesis." Those words alone sent chills up my spine and frightened me. The idea of the girl in my arms being my child and some cruel monster wanting to take her away and hurt her just fueled an anger I had never felt before. I pulled her to me and held her tightly. "I would never let anyone hurt you, my love. I would first see them dead if they dared harm my child." Her hold tightened, and I felt so alive to have her hold me back. "What was his name?" I feared she'd say my name, but was surprised to hear something different. "Nicholson Belle. He was a scientist. An evil one." I swallowed. The image of her in my arms dissolved. Instead, now I stood in the main office of Milton. Claudia Belle lay on the floor, bleeding. She was dead and cold when I dropped and reached to hold her lifeless body in my arms. I did this to her. I did this. I awoke in a sweat, blinking into the darkness, looking up at the ceiling of this unknown rental I had taken for the day. Why was I dreaming of Claudia Belle? Why was she haunting me? I knew nothing of her yet. I felt I had known her all my life. These dreams were getting far more vivid. Dreams of a child in my arms had haunted my past. It always had been the same girl since I had discovered the ugly truth of Sasha's wicked deed. These ideas were sneaking into my dreams, that was all, I told myself. However, the dreams had only continued, and now I had to face the nameless and unseen girl in them. She had always been obscured by darkness and shadows, yet I always felt drawn to her, like she was mine. Why Claudia Belle, though? Was it guilt? The oddest thing was feeling connected to her, truly feeling like she was my own. Rubbish. The girl was becoming a distraction to my hunter and to me. She was in my way. This could be nothing but a reaction to the mere idea of her pulling John away from me. Rising, I sat on the edge of the bed, pushing back at my blonde hair. A shower would do me some good. She had to be dealt with, most urgently.